The biggest confusion I see people having regarding artificial intelligence is this notion of how could AI become dangerous? If you interact with current AI models, they really feel like a tool. It is a tool. It's a passive thing. It gives you some output if you give it some input. And the gap seems really large between humans on one hand and these passive things on the other. So it seems like an unsurmountable category difference, right? How could a tool, if it becomes better, isn't it a better tool? Like how will this happen actually? That we go from tools to agents or beings? And I think that this confusion mainly comes down to putting ourselves in a wrong category or making an entire new category for ourselves. Because in the classical anthropocentric worldview, humans almost have this magical element. This magic can be a lot of things, people say a lot of things. Our consciousness, our creativity, our feelings, our intuition, whatever it might be. But it really comes down to that, wow, it's something unexplainable. So it cannot be, if it's unexplainable, it cannot be reproduced, right? And I really would like to differ here, because lots of interesting properties of the human minds, or basically all of the interesting properties of the human mind, can be explained by evolution and evolutionary advantage. If you check how our intelligence came to existence, then you can see that intelligent information processing was a really helpful trait that emerged and got accentuated. But during the course of revolutionary upbringing, when someone was better at processing information and making better decisions in order to survive, that had a huge advantage. And these things could be like, okay, distinguishing friends from foe, dangerous situation from non-dangerous one, making allies. But all these little things are information processing in our brains. So you take some input from the environment, your neurons pass it on in very intricate ways and make some calculations, and then you make some decisions. And whoever was good at this was more intelligent and had a better chance of surviving. But intelligence was by far not the only thing that evolution selected for, because I mean intelligence once is very costly evolutionarily, because big brain size needs a lot of energy. So for example, a lot of other animals or plants just went in another route and required much less energy than we do, and well, the survival was easier. If you pair this, for example, with good hiding abilities, or some animals just develop bigger and stronger bodies to survive. So lots of different routes you could take based on the evolution. But it's not just intelligence. Also, for example, our will and our desire can be very easily explained by evolution. If a life form was motivated, had the will to, basically to survive, but that as you become more and more intelligent, you understand that, okay, for survival, you need a shelter. So when you're motivated to find a shelter, build a shelter, create the shelter that it's really protecting you, or find food source. So motivation was like this really powerful force. So most life forms became really goal oriented. Lots of sub goals just pop up, and nowadays we don't really think about survival and reproduction all the time. Well, this is a little bit debatable, but we have a lot of sub goals as well, and we try to achieve these sub goals, and this is really helpful, because this is how you make sure that you're staying safe, you're having a good position in the society from where mating finding a mating partner would be helpful. So desires can also be explained by evolutionary advantages. Let's talk a little bit about consciousness. In humans, it most probably evolved because we are a very social species. And if you have self-awareness, you understand yourself also in the environment, it's much easier to cooperate with other humans. If you have no idea that you exist, the cooperation is really hard. But if you understand that, okay, I am a human just like they are, and we have a hierarchy, we have a structure, I understand who's above and who's below me, the cooperation becomes easier. And I also can understand that that I'm also part of my environment. So that means that like the environment is not just that I can also shape my environment, because if I have self-awareness, I understand that my own actions will actually influence the environment, and that's really helpful. What else? Yeah, emotions. We have emotions. Crazy helpful evolutionarily. If you're able to feel pain, you understand that your body is in danger and you stop doing what you're doing. Really helpful. Fear as well. You avoid dangerous situations. Joy. If you have joy, for example, or pleasure, if you're able to experience pleasure while having sex, then you might make more babies. That's also a really helpful thing in terms of evolution. But you have to see that behind all this, it's really biological information processing. We're biological information processing machines. That means this is like how we think, we plan, we want, we experience. It's always like you take information from the outside world, and the senses translated it to electrochemical impulses, and these impulses gets forwarded and processed by our brains and nervous systems, and this is how we act in the world. This is how we make decisions. So we're not that different from AI. We are actually processing information. Our processing is biological based, and AI processes information based on silicon. The electrical signals get translated or get processed by chips and GPUs, but it's the same, or it's very similar information processing. And there is no fundamental divide, so there is no reason to believe that biological information processing is superior to anything else, or like some of these human traits are really tied to this biological information processing. If the information processing is similar, it's probably expected to yield the same results. And one more really strong commonality here is, if you look at how we got all these interesting properties that we're really proud of and make a huge part of the human experience, is that we had a goal to survive and reproduce, and we had an optimization algorithm, the natural selection, evolution, which basically pushed living beings and us in a way in order to be good at survival and reproduction. And in the course of this optimization, this pushing us to survive and reproduce, we developed all these interesting emergent phenomena of consciousness, of emotions, of goals, of desires, of language, societies, culture. So these were not encoded, hard-coded into our evolutionary objective, but we came up with it because they were helpful. And this is exactly the way how AI algorithms are trained nowadays. That AI algorithms get a task that they should try to get better and better in, and they get an optimization algorithm, something that pushes the AI in a certain direction, and then you have a huge neural network, basically the brain of the system, that tries to solve the task. And at the beginning, it's completely fails, basically tries randomly, but the optimization algorithm changes the brain structure in a way, it evolves the brain in a way that it becomes better and better at solving this task. And during this process that it becomes better and better at solving this task, very interesting properties emerge. And in current large language models, what we saw is that basically, I mean, most large language models are trained for next word prediction or next token prediction, so to say. That's very similar to predicting the next word. And in order to do this task, this is a very hard task because like you get all the text from the internet and you have to always understand and try to predict wisely what's the next word. But in order to solve this complicated task, AI came up with a lot of interesting properties. For example, it developed a theory of mind. That means it is able to model other people's mental states and beliefs, who thinks what, who wants what, and this was useful because in order to predict the next word, for example, Johnny did not see that Katie put away the candy, so Joey thinks that, and then you have to understand what Joey thinks in order to predict the next word, and theory of mind got emerged, but no one hard-coded or programmed theory of mind in current big language models. Very similarly, deception. AI can now persuade or deceive someone because it learned it. It was useful to immerse this skill in order to predict the next word. And also in-context learning is one very interesting thing, that even without any change of the weights, AIs nowadays can learn new information, even learn to use new tools that they never seen before, because, well, again, in their task it was useful, so it emerged. And this is how we train AIs nowadays. That basically we kind of hope that interesting, important, helpful properties of this neural network will fall out as a byproduct of this optimization process. And well, what we see now that they still seem to lag behind humans in a lot of areas, but to be honest, I don't think it will be the case for much time, because I mean the next frontier that a lot of AI researchers want to get to is that, okay, now AIs are behind this basically chatbots, like text-based tools, but it would be really helpful if they could achieve things in the real world. So now the next big thing I would say is like, okay, can AI actually achieve goals? And in order that, it needs multi-step planning, and probably in order to achieve goals, it very much needs to develop lots of interesting other qualities, like having the desire to achieve this goal, having the tenacity to follow and really get to the end of this goal. And the problem is that before launching the training runs, we can never be sure what properties, what qualities of the AI will emerge, because we don't hard code it. We wait, and then after it's having trained, we check like, okay, how smart is it? How much will does it have? Does it able to understand that he's part of the environment as well? And then, I mean, nowadays we still see like, okay, it doesn't really understand, it makes mistakes, it's just, or you know, certain, like these qualities are never like binary, yes or no, but you know, like you maybe see like a little bit of able to do multi-step planning, but not really for longer tasks, it breaks down. or it kind of understands itself, but not flexibly enough to apply this knowledge across a wide variety of contexts. But because we know that in humans this is exactly what happened, that there was an algorithm and there was a task and the properties fell out of it. This is exactly why we are kind of sure that theoretically it's really possible to get AIs to do anything. So there is no gap that could not be bridged. So yeah, I mean, this is where we are right now in the field of artificial intelligence, and to be honest, lots of experts started to have some worries and doubts of. I mean, if we really cannot predict what will happen, and there is no real reason to believe why X capability or Y property or trait could not emerge as a result of a training run, like. Are we sure that we're on a good path and doing the good thing? Because, I mean, intuitively it feels dangerous. Maybe, you know, like maybe the current conclusion is that, like, okay, we're not close yet to real dangerous properties, but it's really hard to say what are the dangerous properties. You know, like the skills and capabilities are never independent from each other. So you know, like the capability of better learning will bring a lot of other capabilities with it, and honestly we don't know. So like we're playing with fire here, and a lot of people started to raise this issue. And in this video I just really wanted to lay the groundwork that why is it actually that we cannot comfortably sit back and say like, well, AI is just a tool, and will never become more than that. I think if you understand the human evolutionary upbringing and our process of becoming intelligent and seeing the world, reacting to the world, then you understand that it's not obvious that AI couldn't develop lots of capabilities that could be dangerous.